Welcome to the Mild Opinion Podcast. I'm Logan,
And I'm Luke.
and today we're going to be discussing the Boys universe. So, the Boys, Gen V, all that. Since there's some more Boys content, Gen V Season 2 coming out soon.
Yes. All right, so let's start off here. If you're unfamiliar with The Boys, it is probably, at least what I know to be probably the most violent show I have ever watched in like the most chaotic way possible, and that's just like that's the show. But it's that with superheroes and basically just superheroes being the worst version of themselves and the guys who are taking them down. And I know we have both watched all four seasons of The Boys so far, and Gen V season one, and we are fans of that universe. So uh, I'll start off here asking you, what do you think are some of your favorite, or what's like your ranking of the seasons of The Boys,
Um,
omitting Gen
y-
Z?
yeah, yeah,
We'll
yeah,
keep
yeah.
Gen Z out for right now.
So, I think this is tough because it's so different as you progress. Because, like, Season 1 of The Boys is fantastic because you're meeting all the characters, it's establishing the story and all that. And also, like, the storyline for season one is, like, crazy good. But I feel like the problem with, like, season one is just that since you go into it not knowing anything, there's a lot that needs to be established before, like, the real bulk of the story gets started.
Mm.
So I feel like that, as much as I like season one, that kind of impacts my ranking a little bit. But I guess in terms of, I'd probably go. Man, you really put me on the spot. This now that I'm thinking about it, this is tougher
I
than I
can I can
imagined.
give you mine first if you'd like.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so I think mine has changed a lot. Specifically because I used to not like season three as much, and then the last time I watched it, I was like, "What was I thinking?" Like season three is awesome.
Mm.
So I think my ranking right now is probably going to be different from yours then if that's how you feel about season one, because I feel like my ranking right now is probably like season two I probably have at the lowest,
Mm.
but then that is very close to season four. I just feel like the high moments in season four were like incredible. I've loved every season of the show, but I feel like the high moments in season four were really good. But then like season one and three, I feel like we're on a whole step up from both of those seasons.
Mm.
So I'd then put season two followed by season four, and then season one, and at the top I'd have season three,
Mm.
because those season one just has like such a big introduction to the show and like has so much world building of like introducing you to all of this, and then season three is like when it gets the most like epic, and like the fight scenes are amazing in it, and Soldier Boy himself
Yeah.
just like makes so much of that season.
Mine's not really that different from yours. I would say my least favorite season two, just because I mean, it builds on season one, but it doesn't. I feel like season two doesn't give you anything like crazy enough to like be better than the other ones, just because of how much they packed into like season two and season three, or season three and season four. I mean, but I'd say season two is probably my least favorite. Then probably season one, just because like I said before, just kind of it's cool to see what's going on like in the world, but there's like such a big part of the storyline with like what's going on with like translucent and all that stuff, which is fine. Like it's a good part of the story. That's kind of what like starts
Yeah.
the storyline that we're following. But also, I'm just like in the grand scheme of things, like that did start all of it, but it's not really as important now, just because everything's already been established.
Yeah. It was kind of just like a, well, especially like in the case of Huey, who is probably, I'd say, like, I don't know who I'd say the main character is of the show, because I feel
Yeah.
like there's an argument for several characters, but at least in the beginning, he's the main character, and it's so much of like you're being introduced to all of this with him, and kind of like as the way Huey sees all of this, so he's kind of like really timid and not ready to be like doing what like Butcher and the rest of them are ready to do, which is just like kill these people without question. But then that's so it's like it is kind of like season one is very much like an introduction to Huey becoming this person who is able to kill people and
Yeah.
do bad things for what he at least believes is the greater good.
Yeah. So yeah, season one, lowest. Then season two, season four. Just because I feel like you said, like the highs of season four are very high, the lows of season four are very low. But I feel like storyline wise, it's all getting to a point where it's like very, very serious. It's like
Mm.
very real. Everyone's getting involved, and it's also like they kind of like cranked it up in season four, just like how bad everything's getting, and then the stuff going off like Butcher and all that now,
Yeah,
kind of
that was a thing watching season four where it just feels like there's this underlying feeling of like doom coming
yeah,
as things are just getting like worse and worse. So yeah.
yeah. And then number one, season three, just because I mean that part of the story from where it started to where it got in season three is peak.
Hmm.
Also, just like you said, like Soldier Boy and all that stuff, the big fights and everything that happened in season three was insane. And also, I feel like that is one thing about season four that kind of knocks it back a little bit. Is like what happened in season four progressed on everything that happened in season three, but I feel like it the seasons that are out right now, if season three was like the peak, it starts to like fall down a little bit. Like it's still continuing like the same storyline
Mm.
stuff like that, but like it's not as I don't know. I guess like hyped up as season three was, just
Yeah.
because it got to a point to where they like fixed some things, established some things, and then now they're going back down into kind of like a different kind of story, a different part of the story, I guess.
Yeah. Season three was very much just like I feel like the whole point of season three was them just like full throttle trying to kill Homeland. Well, I mean that's like the plot of each
Well,
season,
yeah,
but I feel like season three was where that was the most direct focus on that, as
yeah,
opposed to like the bigger problem of
mm-hmm.
everything. So it was so much like Huey and Butcher getting their temporary powers and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Soldier Boy coming into the fold, like Starlight gets super powerful. I don't remember like as much what's going on with like Frenchie and like MM and Kamiko. I mean like I remember it, but like
Yeah,
those three I always feel like are just entertaining no matter what they're doing. But
yeah,
then that's also as you're starting to see kind of like the dangers of like Ryan and
mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So I feel like season three, which will end up being the middle season of the show, really is like it's so far been the most epic season, but I think
Yeah,
it'll always be a season where when I go back and rewatch the show, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited for season three.
yeah. I agree. That's kind of why I've ranked it how I did.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
so after now that we've ranked our favorite seasons, rank some characters. Who you got? Who's your top three? We'll just do that.
Okay. So, I think my top one is Butcher.
Mm.
Because of the one liners, he's super cool, and I feel like he's just. He, to me, is not the most important character in the show. He's definitely one of the more important characters in the show. But I just. I don't feel like I'd enjoy the show nearly as much if Butcher was not as big of a part as he is in it, and just so much of it comes down to his and Homelander's like history, but just the way he is and like his morality. Because on surface level, he gets introduced and it's kind of just like, oh, this is just like a bad dude who does bad things to bad people. But like
Yeah,
as it's gone on, he never fails to like shock me with things he does in that regard. And he's just hilarious. Like he has so many good one-liners. But to follow him up, I'd say I don't know if I'll rank him in my top three, but it's hard for me to say he's one of my favorite characters just because of who he is Homelander.
Yeah.
Because he's so like he is such. I feel like he is the most important part of the show. Like he's the whole point of the show of like an evil, unstoppable superhero, but being like the worst possible qualities and powers of him. But he's especially in season 3 and 4 is like terrifying and like the implications of what he's capable of, and in those moments where he shows that, but it's in a like controlled environment, so like when he goes back and visits his scientists and stuff and kills all of them, it's just like, oh my god. So every time he's on scene, I'm always just like, I have no idea what he is about to do. And especially in this past season, I feel like he's taken it up a notch of being like, I'm just gonna do what I think I not like what he necessarily thinks is right, but what he's like, I deserve this.
Yeah.
And that's what's scary too about him is he has such a like warped idea of what he should be doing. But that's also been a reason why I have him up so high is because I'm like, in the beginning he was like kind of naive and like kind of like generically dumb, but not like dumb, but like he's a little naive. And I feel like throughout the show, he has become so much more aware of the power he has, not just from like a physical power set standpoint, but just like his position in the world.
Yeah, like his power, not only like his physical powers,
Yeah.
but like his like influence and stuff as well.
So yeah, I say that I feel like he's probably the main character of the whole show because I feel like all of the show comes down to the decisions he makes have the biggest implications on everything. And then after that, I don't know if it's just because I think she's underrated, but I think Kamiko is really cool.
Yeah.
There's not really any characters I really dislike because I feel like they all have highs and lows. But I've always thought Kamiko's just cool, and her backstory is pretty cool, and yeah, she just shows up and gets done what needs done.
Yeah, I would say for me, we had my number one, my main man. We haven't had a lot of time with this character, but from the moment that we learned anything about him, and just the entire time that he was on the show, Soldier Boy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's hilarious. I also just like his story is really cool. Also, Jensen Ackles is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I don't know. From the moment that like we saw Soldier Boy and like what he was up to and all that, and like we saw his backstory, I was like, yeah, that's my guy. He's awesome.
And he'll be back.
He will be back.
He'll be back.
And then my number two is definitely Butcher, just because like the same stuff. I mean, I feel like Butcher is just one of those characters. Like in a show like that, I mean, they're pretty much entire characters like designed for people to like them. You know what I mean? Just like the one-liners, the being kind of mean and aggressive, but also trying to save people and stuff like that. Because also his story is pretty tragic as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Butcher definitely up there for me. And then I think, I don't know, it's hard for me because like for like my third favorite, it's we're getting to like the tier of characters that are like for me like all kind of in like the same realm of people.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I could say Homelander just because of like you said, he is one of the main focal points of the show. Even though he's terrible,
He's awful.
He's like a big presence anytime he's on the screen and all that.
Yeah.
So I mean, but also like Huey's cool, Kamiko's cool. Honestly, I feel like somebody who's underrated. He'd probably be my favorite. I really like MM just because while like Butcher's like the leader of their group and stuff like that. Just because he gets everybody together and he does the most. But I think MM is like, I like how he's like calculated and like rational. Like he's not just doing stuff just to do it. Like I feel like a lot of them on the team are, because Frenchie and like Starlight and Huey, they all have like their reasons and stuff like that to be there. Yada yada yada, and like Butcher obviously But like MM's the one who's like, yeah, like I'm here for a reason, but like you gotta think this stuff through. You can't just be like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna kill a bunch of people and do this and that. Like I feel like a lot of them are just like, oh yeah, like just kill the superheroes, kill the supes, whatever. And MM's like more calculated, more rational. I kind of like that. So he's probably up there for me. Also, his character's just kind of cool in general.
He is cool, and I agree with you. He is underrated in that. One character I'll throw in there that I've liked him more and more as time has gone on. I wouldn't necessarily say he's like one of my favorites, but is A-Train.
I knew that's what you were gonna say.
Because a thing I like about the show too is like each of them have their like super character that they have their beef with. So it's like Huey has his beef with A-Train. MM has with Soldier Boy. I think Frenchie had it with Lamplighter, if I remember, and then Butcher's obviously Homelander. But I think with Huey and A-Train, that it's been cool to see like A-Train kind of realize his faults through what he did to Huey, and then like how they've interacted with each other since then to a point where they're like allies basically now. Has just been really cool. And I don't remember where we left off exactly with A-Train. Didn't he like run away at the end of season 4 or something?
Yes, I believe so.
But I think he'll be back. So I'm just curious to see where he will end up. Before we get too deep into like prediction territory here, I think that he will not make it to the end of the show. No. I think a lot of people won't make it to the end of the show.
I agree.
But yeah, I've always liked A-Train.
Yeah, I like A-Train too.
Even when he was a scumbag, he was entertaining.
Yeah. Oh, one more character that I like just because I think he's so cool. I can't make him in like my top. Just there's not enough to him to be like top tier. But like Black Noir, I always thought. Well, I mean, just him himself is just so cool.
He
like
is
the
cool.
outfit's cool. What he does is cool. Also, the backstory, when you have like the bit of backstory with like Soldier Boy and all that made me like him even more, which was cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't really make him like in like the top just because there's not enough to him.
True.
But in terms of just characters that are pretty sick in the world, he's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can say the lowest of the low characters for me. At the very bottom is the Deep.
The Deep is awful.
Like he has some, like he has stuff that's just like somewhat important here and there, but it's mostly just him being terrible off to the side.
Yeah.
And sometimes that overlaps with what's going on. So I don't hate the character. Well, like I hate him as a character, but he serves the purpose that character is supposed to serve very well.
Yeah.
But I think out of all of them, he's my least favorite because I'm always just like, this guy's so horrible.
I agree. I just I don't know. I can't get behind a lot of the stuff that goes on with him. I just there's just so much stuff that like too many scenes with the Deep where it's like why did I have to watch that?
Yeah.
I wish I could go back and never see that again.
Yeah, there's some that's just rough.
Honorable mention to Love Sausage.
Yeah, Love Sausage. He's had such little screen time, but such a big impact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Such a very large impact.
Yep. So I think we can, before we get into talking about like season 5 of The Boys, I want to jump over to Gen V here.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of just want to start off like, what were your thoughts of the first season of Gen V as an addition to The Boys universe when it came out?
So, it kind of has. Well, I mean, you can tell it's like part of like the Boys universe and everything like that, but like the vibe is so different, just because of like the setting and how it is. But also, I thought it was kind of like a breath of fresh air because you're meeting like a whole new group that at the beginning isn't tied to anything to do with like what's going on with the rest of it. It's just a superhero school, whatever. So you're meeting all these people with new powers and yada yada yada. There's like a different dynamic to what's going on there, and then the story that progresses along with that is really cool. Um, Especially because like a lot of what you're watching in like the boys, it's people who are like crazy powerful, like the Seven and all that. Like they're
Yeah.
all right, crazy powerful, really cool powers, whatever, yada yada yada. But with Gen V, since they're like in like superhero school and stuff like that, you see a lot of powers, and a lot of them aren't necessarily like super great either. Like there
Yeah.
are some powers that in Gen V that are like really cool, but there are also you see some powers that like aren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Emma's power to like get big or shrink
It has
based off
its
of
it has its like uses,
yeah,
but
but
yeah.
it's not like that's not like anything crazy.
Yeah. Um yeah, I know like when season 4 was coming out of The Boys, cuz the previous 3 seasons of that I had mostly watched when there had already been at least some of it out. So I think I was watching season 2 episode by episode as it came out, but season 4 was the first episode of that first season of that I watched episode by episode
Mm.
each week. Uh, but in regards to Gen V, when Gen V was coming out weekly, I know that I was like always like, wow, this show is like escalating in crazy ways and like being so unpredictable, and
Mm.
it's cool to see how things that have been established in the boys are like affecting this, and how things that are happening in this might affect the boys, because it does. Um, but I think it's a very worthy addition to the
Mm.
boys universe as like its first spin-off thing, because there's gonna be several more spin-offs, but
Yeah.
I really appreciate just the whole different perspective, like you said, of like this isn't the top tier superheroes versus the A team against them. This is just like other people with superpowers being affected indirectly
Mm-hmm.
by stuff in this world. So I really appreciated the first season of that. But I want to pick your brain a little bit about what do you think, based on what we've seen from the trailer of Gen V season 2. What do you think about it so far?
I think it's interesting. I do think I'm very curious about what's actually going to go down because like at the at the beginning of Gen V season one, like it's the superhero school and all that, um, and it kind of just seems like any regular like kind of like school like it's just a bunch of people with superpowers and
Yeah.
they are using them, learning about them, yada yada yada. But it's a school.
Mm.
From the trailers of season two, it looks like they're turning it into kind of like a like boot camp, kind of like military,
Okay.
like turning them into like soldiers rather than it being like a school now, which is kind
Which
of
it makes sense with how season 4 ended, but
yeah,
like yeah, it's gonna be a lot different.
yeah. And then also just with how things ended in season one of Gen V with like Sam and like Kate and all that, I feel like there's gonna be more because like it was starting to mesh more with what happened at the end of uh, season one, like the boys and Gen V starting to become like more of like a
Yeah, they like
intertwined
overlapped a
thing.
little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then that happened a little bit more in season four of the boys, and I feel like this is gonna turn that up just a little bit, like to where it's all starting to mesh together into like what will eventually become the same storyline for both of them.
yeah.
I feel like.
Well, definitely. I feel like in terms of like the world that they're in, season 1 of Gen V definitely seemed like an escalation of just like showing you how things are like heating up in the world
Mm-hmm.
around them, because there's also like these little characters and like tidbits coming in from the
Mm-hmm.
boys that are affecting this. And then in the boys, obviously that's where like the main heavy hitting events are going to be taking place. But what we've seen in the footage of season 2 so far, we've seen, and I'm sure there'll probably be maybe one or two more. I think two characters that we've seen in the footage of the trailer that are coming over from the boys, at least for a cameo or an episode or
Mm-hmm.
something, are the Deep, and I think Black Noir is going to be in it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So I really do feel like by the end of season 2 of Gen V, it's going to be like absolute chaos. Because the end of season 1 was chaos. But I'm excited for it, and I just honestly, every time I think I know what's going to happen in these shows, I'm wrong. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's kind of what makes it hard too. Is just because you can be like, oh yeah, like what's your prediction for what's going to happen in Gen V? Based off of the trailer, I have no idea. I
I
have
have
no idea where
no
they're going to
clue.
take that.
Yeah. Um.
Because also, I feel like it very much depends on how involved, um, like the Gen V storyline will be with like the boys and vice versa. Because it's like, yeah, like you can take a guess on like what these characters will end up doing in like the main collective story and stuff like that. But it's like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, is Homelander gonna come in and be important in like Gen V season 2? I have no idea. Is Butcher or any of them like the main squad gonna be involved in that at all? I have no idea. So I can't
Yeah.
really make any guesses because I'm like, I don't know how involved it's gonna get at this point.
Who knows? But I think it's definitely, especially at the end of season 4 of The Boys, it had such a like heated ending of Homelander basically being he's basically above the president right now
Yeah.
was how that ended, and he's hunting down people who are like enemies of I oh my but he's basically hunting down people who I would call like the enemies of like his state of
Mm-hmm.
government stuff. So I feel like that's going to be extremely impactful, and I feel like that's going to be a lot of the reasoning behind them starting to become kind of like a boot camp instead of a college or like a just like a school.
Yeah.
Um, but I have two more things I want to touch on with
Mm-hmm.
this stuff today, which is in terms of Gen V season 2 and The Boys season 5, which season 5 will be the end of the mainstream boys.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any predictions as to what might occur or theories?
Well, in terms of Gen V, like I said, it's kind of hard. I have no idea. I am curious as to whether or not by the end of that they'll throw them all the characters from season 2 of Gen V into a position to where they're like working with like the main squad and stuff just because the boys season 5 will be like the last season, so like are they going to help out and have like a big kind of like culmination of power going up against like Homelander and stuff
Yeah.
like that, or is it going to be one of those things where it's you know they're kind of just involved a little bit, but not like with the team and stuff like that. Like it's kind
Yeah.
of hard to guess that. And then as for season 5 of the boys, uh, I mean, like you said earlier, I feel like a lot of people are gonna die.
Yeah.
Like
I honestly am
most
expecting
of
most
them.
of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like most of them will die.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, this is another thing I mean by being completely wrong about predictions and stuff is I was expecting one of the main group of them to die, one of the main like characters of the boys to die in season 4, and then it was just wrong.
Yeah,
Um, which is good because I like that they're all like the core team is going into the final season because they've all like changed a lot, and like their dynamic with one another right now is like insane because where they left off like Huey and MM get taken, Starlight is just like on the run, Butcher is insane and has a plan to like murder all of the Soups, and Frenchie is now under the control of Kate, so like who knows where any of that's
yeah,
going to lead. um I would say I don't have any like solid predictions, but I can say that I won't like say how it happens on here, but I hope that it does not go the route that it ends in the
mm,
comic books. I don't think it will because the way that they're like setting up other spin-offs and stuff, I
yeah,
think there will be room for like a future of this world, and that not all of the spin-offs are going to be in the past and stuff.
yeah,
But I'm expecting a very bloody, crazy, maybe not all the way happy ending for everybody.
yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, and also it's kind of like I said with it's kind of hard to tell just because there's so much going on and you
Yeah.
have no idea where they'll take it. but also with how like random and different the storylines in the boys can get. Who knows? You know, what I mean, like most people be like, oh, you know, Butcher's gonna kill Homelander and everybody's gonna live happily ever after, yada yada. But who knows, dude? The last episode of the show, the world could just end. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the way that they
It
do
could
stuff,
be
who
everything
knows?
they've been actually afraid of. Like
Yeah.
Homelander just destroys everything or something like
Yeah.
that.
I would honestly, if it came to a thing as to where like the main group lost and Homelander just went on and lived his life and won and done everything he wanted to, that wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah.
To be honest, just because that's how the boys is.
Yeah. One more thing I want to touch on, but like there's so little about this. Is I think right now I know of two more spinoffs that are in development. One of them has been in development for a long time, and I'm not sure if it will become something. But one we have confirmed and that we got like I think it was set photos of recently or like character posters is Vought Uprising, which will follow Soldier Boy, and I think it takes place just in 70s or whenever he was like a really prominent figure. And the other spinoff that I've heard discussed, and I think they cast Diego Luna, who's Cassian Andor in Star Wars, as the lead for this, is The Boys Mexico. But what are your thoughts just on these two ideas for spinoffs in general?
As well for Vought Uprising, I think that's gonna be awesome. I feel like it's one of those things where it's like it probably won't really give you anything in terms of like, you know, storyline that you would need to know or anything like that. But it's kind of just like if you like the boys and if you like Gen V and like the main storyline, here's this extra stuff from like before, and it'll be like an entertaining watch. You know what I mean? Like it probably won't be anything that would like add a ton to what's going on, or like I guess what will have already happened in like the boys storyline. But it's just like, oh yeah, you like the style of the boys and like the cool heroes and stuff like that you already know. Well, here's this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can learn more about the background and stuff like that. So I mean, I think it'll be cool. Just you know, and then as far as the boys Mexico, no idea.
No idea.
I
think
no
it'll
idea.
be an opportunity because like, you know, in the mainstream boys, it's like very heavily, actually like almost entirely minus a few things that happen. It's like entirely American based. So like the seven, who are like the most powerful super team in the world, are Americans. But I think the boys Mexico will show a lot of the consequences of is it just called Compound V?
Yeah.
Compound V making its way around the whole world. So I think it's going to be like the start of superheroes, or even like what you could call super villains, just butting up, because it has to be. Generally, I believe it'll be taking place before. I feel like it's not going to like the boys and then the boys Mexico begins in that timeline. I feel like it'll be kind of, oh, this takes place during season 1 or 2 of the boys or something. But I think I'll watch it when it comes out because I just really like this universe. And it's exactly what you want from the like no holds barred like superhero genre. It is like the evil Superman and like the worst of the worst superheroes you could ask for. It's like this show's perfect for that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think anything that they could give us content wise with the boys, I wouldn't complain, just because of how much I like the universe and what they've already established. So I mean, and that is one thing. I'm glad that they're already talking about doing like spin-offs and extra content and stuff like that, because like I really don't want to just be like season 5 and like that's it, like that's all you get, just because like it's such good content just with the idea that they have anyway of like, you know, this is what the world would be like in like reality if people had superpowers. You know what I mean? Like it's not just like, oh yeah, there's like crazy bad guys, but we have like the good super team and all, like because I feel like a lot of times people see like superheroes and they think like, you know, Superman or Spider-Man and all that, like the good guys and all that. But really, I mean, a lot of people in the world are so selfish and messed up and whatever this seems like
This show
maybe a little
absolutely-
over the top,
Yeah.
but a good representation of what would happen if
it
regular
assumes-
people had superpowers.
Yeah, it assumes like the very worst of people.
Yeah.
But one more thing I'll say, like in that regard, is that one of the big strengths of the show in general is I feel like you say it's a superhero thing to people, and they're like, "Oh, okay," like it's a superhero thing. But I feel like that's not necessarily the focus of it because it's so heavily based in like the characters and like what they do with these problems and like these powers and stuff in a way that no other superhero
Yeah.
thing even attempts to.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's part of what made people like it right out the gate is like it's just so different.
It's there's nothing like it really
Yeah.
at all.
Yep.
But yeah, do you have anything else you want to touch on for the boys universe?
I don't think so. I think we got pretty much all of it.
All right. Well, if you have not watched The Boys and like over the top violence and superheroes, go watch it. It's worth the watch. Well, some scenes you'll wish you didn't see, but
Yeah.
this has been the Mild Opinion Podcast, and thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.